Hey there, YouTube, Saint Riot, and man, I obviously loved Dungeon Invasions. In a 3-hour network test where you don't have a lot of time, and you're trying to get the most invasion bang for your invasion buck, what better place to do it than someplace where stuff pops off quick? And in these dungeons, stuff popped off quick. This is a good example of how, despite the change in Elden Ring's PvP mechanics, certain things are unchanged. For example, if you get a host alone for even a second, probably a pretty good chance you, as a big-brained PvP knower, will be able to, whip their ass, for, lack of a better term. I also thought maybe it would be kind of neat to look over some stuff, because I know this is an invasion where I hit my opponent with multiple types of attacks. And so I wanted to take a look at that. It's important to remember that the game is not finished, and a lot of stuff could potentially change between now and when the game comes out, and as a result, what we're seeing here is not the finished product and shouldn't be taken as such. And that goes even for things like damage and like attacks and things like this. Give me a second to kind of be a nerd and explain something, okay? Weapons and the way they do damage in these games is they have an AR, typically is what it's called, an attack power or an attack rating, and that's the number you see next to the weapon when you look at it in the menu. And the way just a straight up physical attack works, with no split damage or nothing like that, okay, is, let's say it has an attack rating of 10. You swing it at an opponent who's not wearing any armor, has no defense, has no absorption, you're going to do 10 damage, right? But each attack has a modifier on it. And this doesn't just mean R1 or right bumper or light attack and R2 or right trigger or heavy attack. It doesn't just mean those. It means like the second R1 is different from the first R1, and the third R1 is different from the second. And these values, these modifiers, they change. So it might start off at like 0.1 modifier, and then it might become 0.2 modifier. So this might give us a little glimpse into how they are thinking about how damage modifiers and things like that work. Obviously, Dark Souls 3, pressing R1 was always the most efficient attack, because if you hit someone with an R1, it almost 99% of the time guaranteed that you could press R1 again, and and it would hit. And so why press anything else? If a single R1 light attack, right bumper, if that was going to give you 2 guaranteed hits, why ever press anything else, right? There wasn't a lot of reason for it. And, I mean, obviously some attacks are cool or look cool or maybe even are better suited for certain situations. But, like I said, it seemed like the overwhelming majority of the time, just pressing light attack was the way to go. Hopefully, you always hope that they do something to kind of change that and make the heavy attacks a little more better. So, I hit my opponent with plenty of different attacks in this invasion, and so I wanted to look at the numbers. And like I said, this is not the final game. This is not indicative of where the game will end up at, but maybe it gives us a little bit of insight into what they're looking at in the terms of balance, which is interesting to me. Our Phantom right here, we're going to get with a parry, and this is a +3 weapon against the best armor set in the network test in terms of damage reduction, and it did 277 damage, which is a lot of damage. As you can see, a regular R1 does 57 damage. Not a lot. A roll catch on a running R1 did 63 damage. And R2 did 90 damage. That's a huge increase. That is a huge increase. Even on a running attack, which has, in most games, in most Souls games, running attack has an increased damage modifier. Because, you know, you're running. There's some weight behind that attack and some momentum behind that attack. So those attacks do more damage. So let's take a look again. But that R2 damage is really noticeable. And I think that's a good sign. That was like a big chunk compared to the others. So 57 damage on an R1, 63 on a running R1, and 90. 30 more damage than a running R1. 30 more damage on a strong attack on an R2. That's really interesting. And I look forward to seeing if that's indicative of the final game. Again, it might not be at all. Who can say? But we'll know in just a few months, which is cool. And kind of promising, honestly. 30 extra damage on a I'm terrible at math, so I couldn't tell you what that modifier was. But going from 57 on a standard attack to 63 on a running attack to 90 on that R2 attack, on that heavy attack. Was it a roll catch? Or was it just... Because Bloodborne had a thing where if you got roll caught, man, you felt it. No, not a roll catch at all. He was trying to drink his Estus, though. I'm sorry. Flask of Crimson Tears. Man, yeah, I think that's interesting. I think that's... hopefully that's promising. I would love to see... heavy attacks really, really matter and be worth the risk, for a bunch of extra damage. So, I may be completely wrong. Maybe that's in line with everything else. I'll ask. I'll actually get on Discord and I'll ask, and we'll see what the nerds tell me. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Until then, later, y'all.